In 1982, a Soviet submarine was sunk by an alien ship, and almost nobody knows about it.
Корабль пришелец.
Мой тунем!
February 1982, Bering Sea. 2 in the morning on a Spruance-class destroyer feels like the edge of the world. Black water, sub-zero air. Above the ship, the sky is alive. Green curtains of aurora stretch from horizon to horizon, bright enough to cast shadows across the deck. Beautiful to look at, miserable for electronics. Every sailor on watch knows what that means. Radios get strange. Signals skip thousands of miles. Radar paints ghosts. It's the kind of night where equipment lies to you. And on nights like this, the sailors would be expecting it. The ship was a United States Navy Spruance-class destroyer, doing exactly what destroyers did during the Cold War. Patrol, listen, track submarines. Up here, north of the Aleutians, you weren't just sailing, you were sitting on a tripwire. The Soviet Pacific Fleet operated in these waters constantly. Ballistic missile submarines slipped under the ice and disappeared for months at a time. American ships, trollcraft, and undersea hydrophones formed a quiet net designed to hear anything made of steel. They didn't just listen underwater, though. They watched the surface and the sky, too. The ship's air search and surface search radars swept constantly. A Spruance-class destroyer could see threats long before they ever saw it. And it wasn't just radar. Radio operators monitored the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Banks of receivers scanned, recorded, and logged anything unusual. If someone transmitted, a ship, a sub, an aircraft, anyone, there was a good chance somebody on that watch floor heard it. Nothing moved out there without leaving some kind of trace. And every vessel at sea monitors 4125 kilohertz, the International Maritime Distress Frequency. By treaty and tradition, every ship listens, because out there, the Coast Guard isn't 5 minutes away. There is no 911, so when something goes wrong, the closest help is almost always another ship. So everyone guards it. Friend, rival, civilian, military, it doesn't matter. And on this night, it would come from the most unlikely source.
Где ты? Это не по-сёму.
Что это штаки?
Корабль пришелец.
Что будет делать? Как же думаешь, боже мой? Задрать переборки! На солнце ведь клочичи! Но поменьше, но совятся! Мой тунем! Маяк, аварийными ключи!
Mayday! Mayday! Советская подводная лодка!
Every head in the room turns. Open transmission, no encryption. That alone is wrong. Soviet submarines don't talk in the clear. Not ever. Especially not in the Cold War. Giving away your position is practically treason. But this voice isn't calm. It isn't coded. It's terrified.
Вода проникает, инопланетный.
Bridge radio, Mayday on 4125, Soviet submarine.
Radio, say again.
Affirmative, Soviet sub reporting flooding.
Sir, we picked up a Mayday claiming to be a Soviet sub.
Patch it through.
The words come in broken pieces through auroral interference. Flooding. Forward. Fast contact. Metal screams somewhere in the background. A deep, ugly sound. Anyone who's ever heard a ship's hull under stress recognizes it instantly. Then one word cuts through the noise clearly. Чужой. The Russian linguist on watch translates. Alien.
Инопланетный кораблик под атакой! Инопланетный кораблик! Чужой! Чужой! Чужой!
Not American, not friendly, something unknown. Then nothing, dead air. For a few seconds, nobody moves, because everyone is thinking the same thing. A Soviet ballistic missile submarine apparently just broadcast a Mayday.
They said an alien ship attacked them. Yes, they said alien.
Then radar calls out.
Contact. Hold on, it's moving.
Fast mover! Mark it, mark the track!
Low, long, solid. Not sea clutter, not weather, something big. The return is elongated, almost destroyer size, 450 feet in length or more. Riding just at or below the surface, and moving fast, too fast. A ship that size should plow water like a freight train. This thing doesn't. No wake, no bloom, no spray, no cavitation streak, just a clean green shape sliding across the scope. Then accelerating, 0 to impossible in seconds. Not 20 knots, not 40, faster than anything should ever go. But before anyone can react, the Aurora surges.
Lost it!
Radar's useless. Aurora's killing the picture. Shift to visual and passive sensors. Maintain course and speed. Log it.
The entire display washes into green noise. A few seconds of static, and when it clears, the ocean is empty. Nothing on the scope. Nothing visually. Just black water and northern lights. By morning, the explanation arrives. Official, neat, comfortable. The Mayday call? A rural skip. Likely a hoax from many hundreds of miles away. The radar track? Anomalous propagation. Ionospheric blending, sea clutter. Both explanations are technically correct. Auroras really do bend high-frequency signals. They really do create radar ghosts. It's documented physics. But there's a problem. Because distortion explains bad data. It doesn't explain coincidence. Within the same minute, a Mayday call from a Soviet ballistic missile submarine says there's something alien that hit them, then the sound of a hull failing, and the radar at the same time paints a massive, fast-moving object in the same patch of ocean. Then everything vanishes. That's a lot of coincidence. And water is unforgiving. It's 80 times denser than air. Anything moving fast underwater cavitates. It screams. Russian supercavitating torpedoes hit around 200 knots and sound like rockets. And those are small. Something the size of a battleship moving that fast, it would tear the surface apart. But this contact, it looked quiet, clean, wrong. And Soviet submarines absolutely avoided open transmissions. So, for a Soviet ballistic missile sub to break radio discipline and broadcast their position, something extreme would have to be happening. There's also something else, something sailors know that most civilians don't. When a submarine suffers a catastrophic hull failure, the ocean doesn't keep it quiet. It can be heard over 1,000 miles away. We've actually recorded it before. In 1963, the US Navy lost the nuclear submarine USS Thresher during deep diving tests. The boat never returned to the surface, but the Navy's undersea listening network, fixed hydrophones spread across the Atlantic, captured the final acoustic events in real time. Operators heard metal structures failing, compartments collapsing, then the rapid, violent sounds of pressure hull giving way as the submarine passed the crush depth. And here's where it even gets more interesting. Because decades later, the United States Navy would publicly admit to seeing things with similar behavior. In 2004, pilots from the United States Navy carrier group centered on the USS Nimitz tracked what became known as the Tic Tac. Radar watched it drop from 80,000 feet to sea level in seconds. Pilots saw it hover over churning water, like something large had just submerged beneath it. No wings, no exhaust, no known propulsion. Then it accelerated out of sight. Years later, the Pentagon confirmed the encounter was authentic and unexplained. Different decade, different ocean, same pattern.
More than 50 years ago, the U.S. government ended Project Blue Book. In 2017, we learned for the first time that the Department of Defense had quietly restarted a similar organization tracking what we now call unidentified aerial phenomena.
There are older Navy stories too. Sonar operators have long used the terms fast movers or fast transients, contacts that sprint underwater far beyond known submarine limits. Usually they get written off as biological noise, sensor artifacts, or thermal layers. But sometimes they hold together too well to ignore. And sometimes they happen on nights when other strange things happen too. Back in 1982, the Cold War really was simpler. If something unknown showed up near a ballistic missile submarine, there were only a few possibilities: ice, collision, enemy, equipment glitch. Alien wasn't even on the list. But could fear make people choose words they normally wouldn't? If the Soviets thought the Americans were attacking, they'd say American. If it was ice, they'd say ice. Instead, they said alien. That sounds intentional, something they couldn't classify. There's another uncomfortable fact. Soviet submarine losses weren't always announced. Actually, both sides buried incidents: collisions, fires, reactor problems. Some boats simply didn't come home, and the paperwork got quiet. So the absence of official Soviet loss report doesn't prove nothing happened. It just means nothing was admitted. Could the Mayday call have come from far away? Sure, maybe some drunk fisherman playing on the radio. Absolutely. High-frequency radio skip during aurora can carry voices thousands of miles. But skip doesn't create the sound of steel collapsing, and it doesn't explain the radar track at the same moment. Could the radar have lied? Sure. Anomalous propagation can paint false targets, but false targets usually smear, flicker, bloom, or break apart. They don't look solid. They don't look structured. They don't look like objects that accelerate cleanly. Operators are trained to tell the difference. And this one was puzzling. It looked real, but behaved impossibly. And impossibly almost always means glitch. So what actually happened? Maybe two unrelated anomalies simply overlapped. Maybe a Soviet sub hit ice, and the US destroyer's radar glitch happened at the exact same time. Maybe coincidence stacked perfectly that night. That's certainly a possibility. Here's what we know for sure. US destroyers really did patrol those waters in 1982, and Soviet subs also routinely operated in those waters. 4125 kilohertz is a real distress channel. And the aurora that night, it was actually very strong. I checked. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, their records show geometric activity reaching KP7, a severe storm level known to interfere with both high-frequency radio and radar. And US Navy personnel decades later publicly admitted to tracking craft that move through the air and water in ways that we still can't explain. The ocean is good at erasing things. Metal sinks, signals fade, and things are easily lost or hidden in the vastness of the sea. What remains are memories. And in this case, the memory of this story came from a subscriber who was on the destroyer that night. And that's exactly why I love doing this. I've always been drawn to stories about UFOs, UAPs, USOs, the paranormal, the unexplained. You all get what I'm talking about. And especially, I love the ones that you've never heard before. And that's what this channel is about. Finding those little known or unknown accounts and then sharing them with you. And I don't post on a schedule. I post when there's a great story worth telling. So if you have one, I want to hear it. You can leave a comment below, or you can go visit my website, davehales.com. But listen, I'm not here to debunk. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to listen and to explore. And thank you for spending part of your day with me. It really does mean more than you could ever know. Life's strange. It's stressful. It's beautiful, full of mysteries and fun. And sometimes it's nice to just step away for a few minutes and just wonder. So just remember, you matter. There's nobody else exactly like you. And even though we're all scattered across different places and living different lives, it's pretty amazing that we can meet here for a few minutes and share an experience. And if these videos give you even a little escape, a little mystery, and a little fun, then that means everything to me. And I'm super excited about the next video. Also a story from a subscriber, and it happened right here in Arizona. So I'll see you then.